Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Aliens and Angels live podcast. I'm so excited to be here. I am so excited to introduce you to Sue Walker. If you haven't already met her or seen her on any podcast, it's going to be a great show today. Just a couple things before we get started. I want you to know that all the content on this show, except for my background art, as you're seeing it now, is completely authentically human generated and includes absolutely no AI generated components. So Sue's the real deal. I'm the real deal. Everything we talk about is the real deal. We're real people having real conversations. However, I also want to clarify that the beautiful image on the thumbnail, as it shows up, on YouTube and Rumble and other social media, is an original piece of artwork by Sue Walker. We're going to get into some of her artwork today, but I just didn't want you to think that I AI generated that image or drew it myself. No, that artwork is done. It's an original by Sue Walker herself. So yes, the guest today, my very special guest, is Sue Walker. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Sue is an internationally recognized clairvoyant. She's a medical intuitive, a paranormal researcher, artist, and co-author of the book called Inviting ET. She is also the translator for the Pontypridd beings of the Sandia Mountain Information Station, who reside at the Sandia Mountains, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they are here to help prepare humanity for official first contact. All of the links are featured below in the description. I want to thank you in advance for liking, commenting, subscribing, and please do share my content with your friends. YouTube and Rumble channel memberships are now available, so you can receive my books and you can help to support my channel. So welcome everybody, and welcome everybody in the live chat. Without further ado, I'll bring Sue onto the stage. Hi, Sue. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing very well. It's been a very, very busy and productive week that's just had me going from morning to night, but I'm glad for the break today, and the weather is not quite as hot. And so here in New Mexico, we're hoping for rain this week, which is an absolute blessing. Anytime we get moisture from the sky in whatever form it comes, we're grateful for it. So I know you've been having too much. We've been having not enough.
I don't know if it's too much. It seems like too much because I miss all those hot sunny days, but at the same time, everything's beautiful and green. So, I have to not be greedy with my climate preferences, I suppose. And you're really involved in food production. So you're growing a lot of your own food, processing it. But can you just tell the audience a little bit what you're doing with the extras, the stuff you can't eat?
We have a huge backyard that we intensively garden. It's a 1/4 acre with 17 fruit trees and a big vegetable garden, herbs, flowers, you name it. If we can grow it here in New Mexico, we do. But what we do with the extra, we have 2 families that work this garden 3 days a week at least, and more when we have to process food. But what we don't use, we are part of the Food is Free program, which was started in Texas. And what we have no use for. We don't waste. We put in bins out at the curb with some extra grocery sacks or bags and a sign that says food is free. Take what you can use and leave a little for somebody else. And our neighbors have learned that when the sign is out, they can stop and get fruit from our trees, or grapes, or plums, or tomatoes, or whatever it is that we have extra of. And anybody who gardens can become part of that program. All you need is a box that you can put by the curb and a sign that says food is free. Take what you can use. So we're happy to give away the extra to our neighbors and to anybody who needs it for whatever reason. I don't care if they have a family of 2 or 22. If they can use the food, we want them to have it free.
Wonderful. Wouldn't the world be uh, different if everybody took that approach and just shared, and it would be very lovely. I just want to do a quick shout out to Denise.
Hey,
Denise has
Denise, we
been
see you.
absolutely faithful companion and friend. She moderates the live chat for me. Um, she's my biggest donor to the program, but
Oh,
she's here. She's here. I mean, unless something happens and she can't make it, which is rare, she's always here, and she's just a wonderful supporter. Denise, I want you to know how much I really, really appreciate you being
we
here.
all need
Thank you.
people like Denise. Thank you. Makes a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
we got Shelley. I just going to say hi to Shelley. Shelley, Michelle Morrison, also very nice to see you. So last time you were on, Sue, we talked quite a bit about how you met the Ponte, how you went down to visit who is now your husband,
yes,
and you started having these
telepathic
telepathy.
conversations.
Yeah, and then you went back home to where you lived before and it stopped, and then you came back and it just picked up again and you became their official translator. Is that
Yes, that's
still?
pretty
Yeah.
close. I spoke with one individual who I nicknamed Sandia, who I learned whose real name was Tilcom. Spoke with him alone for a year and a half before he introduced us to anyone else under the station. And during that time, not only did he explain why they were here and other things about themselves, but he
Mhm.
also taught us a new way to look at our planet and understand that there are images embedded purposefully in the landscape of the planet, and how to read them and understand the symbolism and understand the meanings behind the images
Mhm.
that are embedded. And on my YouTube channel, which is at Sandia Wisdom, all one word, then you can see what those APG or archaeoplanetography images are like. It was after that that he introduced us to others. And while he
Mhm.
still continued to teach us archaeoplanetography, we began to learn about other people that he worked with. And slowly but steadily, they taught us more things, including uh, dictating a telepathy manual that is free.
Yes.
And that made the difference between just us having contact to anybody who follows the instructions in the manual can have their own contact. And people worldwide began to do that. It was quickly translated into more than a dozen languages. The Telepathy 101 primer was the telepathy manual that they dictated to us. And that started contact with dozens of other people across the planet who made the effort to try and say hi to them telepathically.
Mhm.
So we had a
Wonderful.
very good time sharing our own personal experiences with anybody else who wanted to try and contact them, no matter where they were in the world.
Mhm.
While the Ponte in North America have jurisdiction here in North America, they cover the northern and western hemispheres. There are other Ponte facilities, other locations on the planet, and even in the oceans. And so we learned a great deal about them, and the good and the bad. Everything from uh, the genetic manipulation that various Star Nation people have done on Earth humans over the last couple million years, to the fact that they're helping us understand how to get ready to meet people who aren't from here. Whether
Mhm.
here, not from here means another planet or another dimension. And
Mm,
many
mhm,
of
mhm.
our visitors are multidimensional beings. I know that's a hard one to wrap your head around, but they've taught us a great deal about that too. And that's a fascinating topic. The
Mhm.
Ponte themselves were the ones who asked me to start drawing them.
Mhm.
And so they actually had to send me an art teacher.
That's
So I
great.
began to draw images of them, and that helped because it
Mhm.
helped people to understand that they have emotions like we have. They may not be identical, but they sure are present, and their humor is marvelous if you give
Mhm.
it a chance. Just marvelous. I think probably the biggest surprise of all was how funny they can be and
Mhm.
how flippant sometimes.
I'm wondering for those, like, we're going to have all kinds of people listening to this podcast on audio or watching it on video, and people are at different levels of understanding about the
Sure.
whole ET phenomenon. And, Sue, we hear some horrible stories about people who are abducted in the middle of the night, horrible things done to them. What
Mhm.
I'm wondering and what I'm suspecting is that there may be many different humanoid groups that we refer to them all as the Greys, which
Yes.
is actually quite ignorant because they are so much more than their skin color, as we've learned as humans about each other. And we're often told that they're cold, they have no emotion. Sometimes we're told that they abduct people and take them to underground bases along with American military. I don't, you don't know what to believe
What to
anymore.
believe.
Can you
Can.
straighten everybody out,
I
Sue?
can try.
And yeah,
All
that'd
right.
be great.
So, what we do know is that there are multiple extraterrestrial or extra dimensional or multidimensional, not extra dimensional, multidimensional individuals who visit our planet on a regular daily basis. On average, 75 to 80 separate nations are here on any given day. Now
Wow.
that number can jump up or it can drop, but we're talking about both in the ocean with the aquatics as well as land-based individuals.
Hmm.
All right. We have to remember that we are a water world. 75% of our planet is ocean, and many extraterrestrials come because they want to go into our oceans and work with our aquatics there.
Hmm.
Now, I can tell you also that I've put together a short video of all the different kinds of photographs that people have taken of the various separate nations, all confused and lumped together as, quote, grays, unquote.
Hmm.
There are many of them. They can have no nose cartilage. They can have a little bump of a nose, like our Ponte friends have. They can have very angular heads that almost look like a triangle. And
Hmm.
in fact, the triangular headed beings that were in the original movie um, that involved, um, oh, and now I'm going to blank on the name of it. Uh, the 4th of July movie. about aliens coming.
Independence Day?
Independence Day. Thank you very much. There was a triangular-headed extraterrestrial on board the ship that was supposed to attack the planet. Well, those triangular-headed guys are actually really nice guys and not bad at all. And I'm sorry that they were given a bad rap in that movie. There are some individuals with large dark eyes and slender large heads and slender bodies that are short with either 3 or 4 fingers. Some are constructed, the grown, I guess I would say, and programmed.
Yeah.
There's only one group that it's like that, and they are the ones that are mechanical and cold.
Mm-hmm.
Vast majority of extraterrestrials and multidimensionals that visit us are here because they're explorers. They're interested. They're not here to steal anything. They're not here to kill us off. If they were going to do that, they would have done that millennia
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Millennia ago. The Ponti themselves tell us they have records that go back 135,000 years. There are other nations that have records that go back farther. And so they've been part and parcel of our history of humanity. And we're not the first age of man. It probably isn't a big surprise to many of you because a lot of us have seen construction all over the planet that we didn't do, that is huge and ginormous and very intricate. And so previous ages of man have been here, and the Ponti tell us we are the 4th age of man that has advanced to the point where we are capable of leaving our own atmosphere, meaning we can go into space. But we're not the first ones to do that. The other ages of man indeed have been wiped out by cataclysm. And if we're not very careful and we don't plan well, we may be again, because we're circling around the galaxy and coming back into that same 25,600 year cycle again, that things go bad with our planet and the whole atmosphere and the whole environment changes. So floods, ice ages, our global warming usually happens right before an ice age just hits suddenly. And it's not a gradual thing. It's an overnight flip. So we have to be prepared for things. Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that because, I myself believe that there are numerous different kinds of humanoids. And I think, I agree. I think if they were here to hurt us, they would have done that a long time ago. And from what I have seen humans do to other humans is so horrific,
So
you
much worse.
know, yes, so much worse. And I can't blame the peaceful and loving, what we call ETs, extraterrestrials. I don't blame them for wanting to keep us at arm's length. My goodness. And, just look at what was done between the colonizers and the indigenous groups. And, I don't blame them. In fact, I would say, no, do not, make contact with the governments because you can't trust them. But that's my opinion.
One of the things that they have let us know is that the Ponti and the other star nations are watching very, very closely how we treat the Sasquatch and come forward with our knowledge of them. Because if we just lash out and think that they're great big dumb apes and we're just going to kill them because they're violent and we don't know about them, think again. They've been here a lot longer than we have and actually are very intelligent, multidimensional folks. And we've learned a great deal about them from our Ponte friends because the two nations have palled around together for thousands and thousands of years.
Interesting.
Did we talk last time about the corroboration we got from other humans about the base under the Sandia?
No, but I'm going to just show you a quick question from
Yeah,
Denise.
sure.
And then let's get into that. Denise wants to know, could those unusual creatures or animals coming from our oceans be coming from ETs? Now, I
Yeah,
myself have always believed the cetaceans are way more intelligent than us. What
correct.
limits us is we don't even know how to communicate with them to find out what they know. Instead,
Ah, have you heard
we're
the
not.
latest?
Pardon? Go ahead.
Have you heard the latest about that?
About AI contacting them?
Yes.
Yeah, a little
Quantum
bit.
AI has translated some of the cetacean language and answered back to them in a way that caught their attention. The AI pod, or excuse me, the cetacean pod that the AI was trying to communicate with was on its way leaving, and the AI greeted them in their own language, and they all turned right around and came right back.
Got their
So
attention.
they are translating the cetacean language as we speak, which
Mhm,
is wonderful.
mhm.
And so I'm super glad about that. But uh, the animals, the unusual animals that you can see in our oceans that didn't all originally come from here. Octopus is an easy one.
Yes, yes.
Um, there are, I hate to call them the blob people. It sounds terrible, but in the very, very deep oceans, there are um, blobs of amorphous, meaning not standard shape, changing shape, invertebrates, no muscle or no bones, that
Mhm,
on the surface of their skin, and we're talking about sphericals or amorphous blob type creatures that can get to be 30 feet across, okay, or more.
wow.
But their surface can light up, and they live in the very deep, dark oceans, way at the bottom, where it's so dark you can't see. So they speak in a light language. The
Mhm,
skin lights up. And
mhm,
so that's another one that we understand isn't, not all of them are from here or didn't originate and now call our deep oceans home. That's
mhm,
the truth for some. There are also merfolks that
mhm,
visit our merfolk that come here. The Zeta body type with the large dark eyes and the slender build also have a form of ocean aquatic that communicates with them as well. So
mhm,
we have quite a few different kinds of critters that we can photograph or have been photographed or partially photographed, moving around in the deep oceans that are not necessarily from here currently.
mhm,
So the large cylinder ships that
mhm,
can be a half a mile or a mile across are large enough that they can come out of deep space through our atmosphere straight into the oceans and big enough to pick up an entire pod of whales and the water that they need as well.
mhm,
And so that's where some of the big ships are coming into play.
mhm, mhm. Amazing. Yeah, it's interesting how sometimes Hollywood gets it partly right. Like there was a Star Trek series where they had to go back in time and collect a male and a female whale and bring them into the future in order to save all of humanity. And that rang so true for me. I just felt it rang so true. The other thing is, in the research I've done on whales and other cetaceans, they're way smarter than us. Heck, the octopus or octopi, I don't know how you say plural, they're smarter than we are. Like, seriously, humans need to get off their high horse
No
and start
kidding.
recognizing that getting some humility and start interacting with all kinds of species and humanoids and non-humanoids, because what intelligent non-human intelligence might look like is quite different than what we've been programmed. uh, I don't know, what do you think
So
about
true.
that, Sue?
So true. We decided a while ago, and the Europeans decided a while ago, to measure intelligence by written language, not oral,
Hmm.
and hands that build things and use tools, because
Hmm.
animals didn't. Okay. But what they didn't tumble to is when you get advanced enough, you don't need stuff. You don't necessarily need to build things.
Yep.
If you can live in harmony with the world around you and communicate in an intelligent and loving way with your neighbors, and
Hmm.
part of the balance of life where you live. That's what the cetaceans have done. That's what the Sasquatch have done.
Hmm.
And yet both are much more intelligent than we are, with much greater capabilities that we don't possess at all.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
the measure of intelligence is a very different thing for our ET and multidimensional friends than it is for us. They have a little broader spectrum of what makes something or a nation intelligent.
Hmm.
So, and
Hmm.
I'm glad they do, because ours is not working.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding. I sort of think that we've been kind of engineered a bit, just to be a slave class and to bring whatever, the what I call the parasite class, whatever they want. This whole illusion of money and riches and power. It's kind of embarrassingly
Yes,
ridiculous when
it
I
is.
look at it.
Yeah, that
And
group
then,
is very embarrassing because it's all about me, 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 me
oh,
instead of
it,
us.
yeah, absolutely. Just look at our history. Well, we don't even know for sure if that's real, but look at our history. So what I've also noticed is telepathy is not necessarily what people think it is. In my experiences with telepathy, it's a whole bunch of things that kind of come to you at once, and then you learn to read that like a language. So when I experience telepathy, I don't get it in English. I get like short visuals in my mind's eye combined with symbols, sometimes overlays, which show up in my visual vision on top of what I normally would see. It's
Yes,
emotions, it's
yes,
body sensations.
yes,
And it took me a while to learn how to read the combination. And it makes sense too, because then we can communicate with all kinds of different beings in this universe and on this planet. And like, for instance, whales. I got to tell you an interesting thing that happened to me. Whenever I go through a really, really rough time in my life, is when I have the most amazing um, transdimensional experiences. And I was going through this really rough time. Basically, I'll just tell you quick. I had been on benzodiazepines for many years. That's a tranquilizer they often prescribe for people that have a lot of anxiety. And I decided I was going to quit. And when I quit, I went through the most horrible emotional pain of my life, because my
oh,
body had to detoxify and I had to go through that.
oh,
So, as it normally happens with me, I have these transdimensional experiences while I'm asleep, and then I wake up and they're so vivid. Anyway, I honestly believe that I was contacted by a baby whale that a baby whale reached out to me on a telepathic level to strengthen me and help me to endure and get through that rough time in my life. And I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds
No,
absolutely insane for me to say that,
no, it does
but
not.
this is what I went through. So I'm thinking, maybe even before I don't know if the Tower of Babel's a real thing or not, but even maybe before that, we were all telepathic, Sue. And then all of a sudden we got verbal language, and language really is such a source of misunderstanding. So telepathy makes perfect sense, and we could be communicating with a lot more than other humans, which we don't do very well. Sorry, I didn't mean to ramble on and on. I'll
Oh
turn
no,
it
you
back
didn't.
over to you,
You
Sue.
didn't. I've had my own telepathic contact with a whale, which is why I was laughing. You had a baby whale. I had a 200-year-old whale telepathically contact me and took me by surprise. And this was in 1998, and he was hurting. When I connected with him, he was old, he was scarred, he was hurting. So I put my hands on him and just
Mhm.
tried to send him energy for about 20 minutes. And when we were done, I took my hands off of him and he turned to swim away. And he came back and he went eye to eye with me within 2 feet, big
Mhm.
eye to me, to my head.
Mhm.
And he telepathically said, I give you the gift of infinite voice. And for
Wow.
15 years, I didn't know what that meant until I met the Ponte. Infinite
Mhm.
voice is the translation for the concept of telepathy.
Mhm.
Your voice can be infinite, it can go
Mhm.
anywhere. And
Mhm.
so that's, and I didn't know that until they sent us the gal that translated the Telepathy 101 primer, and she told us that
Mhm.
their translation for telepathy is also infinite voice, that's a common translation. And I went, huh. Took me a
Wow.
long time to figure that one out. And I am
Mhm.
seriously happy that now there's a manual where all of our people in the chat room and anybody interested can figure out how to improve their own telepathy for free and
Mhm.
practice on their own, and then reach out to one of the telepathic nations. And we suggest not reaching out to just anybody that you don't know. Um,
Mhm.
it would be a good idea to start with a star nation or a multidimensional nation that you have good rapport with yourself, or that other people have let you know is peaceful and um, polite to contact with,
Mhm.
loving, caring, giving. And so I guess I would say there are so many telepathic nations out there. Don't just randomly, dial up and call any one of them that you don't know. Pick
Yeah.
somebody that is a known quantity first for your first experiences.
Yeah. Someone's safe. Now, what was I gonna say? So, it's because a lot of people will be listening to this on an audio podcast. There is going to be links below this show. But Sue, can you just say out loud the URL of where people would go to find the telepathy primer?
Okay, you're looking for officialfirstcontact.com, all one word. And when you get to the first page, you're looking for the Telepathy 101 link at the top of the page. And then you can choose whichever language you would like to download the PDF in. It's a 285 or 286 page slide presentation with one or two sentences on a page that you can go through in an hour or two tops. It's real fast. And so it helps to get you started, but it also in the back, along with sharing how you can improve your telepathy, in the back, it also has the protocols that they gave us for contact. And that I found very helpful, what to do and what not to do
Mm.
when you meet an extraterrestrial nation person. On
So I'm gonna
average.
I'm going to put where to find the telepathy on the banner. So
officialfirstcontact.com.
okay, official
First
first.
contact.
Sorry.
That's okay. Everybody's writing at the same
.com.
time.
Oops.
Officialfirstcontact.com. And the manual is called the Telepathy 101 Primer, Primer. Looks like primer, but
Yep.
primer is an old-fashioned school book. Primer is paint.
Okay. I got it. I got it. Coming right up. Coming
Okay.
up.
And worth going through, even if you just take it at your own pace. It really, you can go through it fast, you can go through it slow, but they recommend practicing with anybody and everybody that you can think of for 100 days, 3 months before you try to contact them. Because you need to know what it feels like to be accurate and know that your telepathy is working with local folks before you try and contact somebody that's not local. So you got it just right. Looks good at the bottom of your screen. That banner is great.
Okay, good. Telepathy 101 Primer, officialfirstcontact.com. Yeah, just I have a sometimes I have so many thoughts in my mind. It's like squirrels running around and then I forget. So I wanted to have it here for everybody. Now, you wanted to change the subject a little bit and get into something else. I can't remember what it was now.
Oh,
Sorry
God.
about that.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
where would you like to go
Corroboration.
in our conversation now?
Yep. We had, I asked you if we had ever mentioned corroboration by other human beings about the Sandia, the extraterrestrials underneath the base or underneath the mountain, across the valley from us. We live in the Albuquerque area, and the Rio Grande runs straight through Albuquerque, the river does, and splits it east from west. On the east side is where the mountains are. On the west side is where the deserts are. North of us is the Valles Caldera volcano. And south of us, if you go south a couple hours, you get down to White Sands. And that's the area down that far, 2 to 3 hours away, is where Roswell is. So we're kind of in the middle of the state. Now, when we first met the Ponte, had no idea how to prove that they were really there, and just had to take it on faith with all their communication with us. And the first thing we did, that we got corroboration, was we went to a MUFON meeting, and I had an electrician come up to me, and he said, I believe you, because the biggest airbase, the biggest airstrip I have ever seen in my life, I saw underground. It was much longer than anything I'd ever seen above ground. And I said, tell me that story. Essentially, this electrician answered an ad that required an electrical contractor to have a security clearance to work for the government. He did. He was eligible. He still had to fill out the 24 or 25 page form, but they called him and said, meet us at this intersection and we'll take you to the job site. He pulled up at the intersection very early in the morning after dawn, and there was a van that had no windows in back, and it was unmarked, and other electrical contractors who were being hired were there too. And whoever the driver of the van was said, leave all of your tools here, leave everything on your person in your vehicle. You cannot take it with you. That means cigarettes, lighters, cell phones, pipes, whatever you have, leave it here. We will provide what you need. They put these guys in the van and drove them around for an hour and a half.
Hmm.
And finally, they heard, because the wheel sound was different, that they had gone from outside on the highway to inside because the echo is different. When they got out of the van, they were on the edge of this super long airstrip that was all underground with a super high vaulted ceiling. And off in the far, far corner were saucers. And well, he thought it was somebody who looked like a human being standing next to a small Zeta body type gray.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so he was told to not ask any questions and just do his job. But then he was the one that came up to us. And after he saw the saucer, then he started researching everything he could, because prior to then, he'd had no experience with UFOs of any kind. And
Mm-hmm.
second corroboration we got came when we met a Zuni, a Native American elder by the name of Clifford Mahuti. Clifford was in his late 60s, early 70s when we first met him. He's passed now, unfortunately. But he was trained as a boy about all of the star brother interaction that the Zuni had had from the very beginning and up until now. And that included the story of the two different star nations leading the Zuni and other survivors from the last flood event up the Colorado, then up the Little Colorado, then up the Zuni River to the village area where Zuni is located now. And when they arrived after this long, long walk, all of their housing was set up for them already by the Star Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a good rapport with the Star people. And Clifford told us that once a year, two separate star nations would come from underneath the Sandia Mountain to Zuni, interact with them, and then go back home.
Mm-hmm.
And the other pueblos also knew about it. But what happens on the pueblos stays on the pueblos a lot of times. And so it was not written down. There was no written language. So they just kind of dismissed it like it was nothing. Too bad for us.
Interesting.
We should have learned a lot sooner about what their stories are, because nearly every Native American reservation, pueblo, settlement, it has history of Star Nation interaction of some kind.
So interesting and so validating. Isn't that nice when we have our experiences validated? Because there's so much
Out of the blue.
invalidation
Mhm.
going on. That's wonderful. Now, Sue, we've only got about 15, 20 minutes left, and I
Yes.
know you wanted to share some of your images with us, some of the
Oh,
artwork you've done. And I'm wondering if people want to get prints, can they get prints from you? Are you offering digital copies? What are you doing? Maybe you could tell a
well,
little bit about that while you show your
right. The vast
incredibly beautiful
majority of
artwork.
the artwork I have is originals, and I have hundreds of pieces. Um, Let me give you some for instances. This one I did fairly early on with our Zeta friends, just looking at seeds that have been planted. And in
Mhm.
fact, one of the things that Clifford Mahuti told us is they used to trade with the Star Brothers. And I said, "What did you trade?" And they said, "Seeds, all
Mhm.
kinds." I didn't ask out loud, but I wondered if that included our seeds, sperm and egg. It
Yes, good
surprise
point.
would
Good
not
point.
surprise me at all. Um, we've had a fun time interacting with the Ponte and introducing them to various concepts. And we had to tell them what an outhouse was about and why there was a moon on the door. Um, One of the things that the Ponte told us, that's some of the hardest stuff that they do as trainees, is interact with our pets. because
Mm.
it's scary. You don't know if a dog that's awake is going to bite you in a brand new house, especially if you just show up and everybody else is sleeping. And one of the tests that they do is to allow a canine to lick their face. As part of their testing as trainees, is to be brave enough to let this canine with very sharp teeth come up and just lick them.
Oh, that's adorable. What I love about your artwork is it shows I was going to use the word humanity. That might not be the right word, but it shows that they're not that different than us, at least those
No,
of us that have the good hearts. That puts us all kind of in the same family. And it's just, I love your artwork because it really shows that these are not some kind of automatons or
automatons, right?
robot
No,
creature.
no.
Maybe some of them are, but not the group that you communicate with. I just love the look of uh, the personality that shines through on each and every one.
So when they dissolve a wall to walk in, the most common room that they will enter into your house is the bathroom.
Interesting.
And they do that because it's an easy room to find, usually on an outside wall because it has to vent.
Hmm.
And nobody's in the bathroom unless they have to be. So it is, of all the rooms in your house, a room that's mostly unoccupied most of the time. This picture, however, is called This Way to the Kitchen. So they wanted to know which way to the food. One of our friends here in Albuquerque is a gal that had an experience very similar to what you see where the wall dissolved. She had met the Ponte because she lived at the base of the mountain on the west side, up just at the bottom base of the canyon, where they have their western small entrance. And she and her children, as they lived at that location, interacted with the Ponte more than once. Well, when she got injured and was bedridden, they dissolved the wall one afternoon, and 6 of them came through about an 8-foot circle and surrounded her bed and worked to heal her. Her name is
Wonderful.
Gloria Hawker, and she was written about by the UFO researcher Bud Hopkins. Let's see, what else do we have? Just delight of American or native things that they eat are, here's morels, okay? But the Ponte are pescatarian. They will eat vegetables, fruit, and some fish. There's that. I have everything from interacting with our local wildlife, having a discussion with the bunny,
Mm-hmm.
to figuring out that dogs like their bellies rubbed.
That's adorable. And for those of you listening on an audio podcast, please feel free to come over to YouTube or Rumble or Odyssey and watch the video so that you can take advantage of some of this beautiful
Mm,
artwork and these amazing pictures because they say a picture is
it's
worth
worth
a
1,000
thousand
words.
words. No
The
kidding. No kidding.
one of their female staff members is an like a museum curator. She will collect things,
Hmm.
and sometimes what you collect that's cultural is not only art or literature, but clothing and fashion.
Hmm.
And so she wondered what some of what we wear would look like on her. So one day she was just holding up a sparkly red and black dress, and I just went, "Oh, nice." We give our friends a little bit of a hard time. Our friend Radar over there on the mountain had to become their UFO and extraterrestrial media specialist or paranormal media specialist, and so we started creating what we call film spoofs, meaning taking a popular film background and drawing them in a regular film, mostly with UFO or paranormal or fantasy related themes. So I'll give you, for instance, the sage in the swamp you might recognize from Star Wars,
Mhm.
Yoda.
Interesting.
This is a newer one, Groot, with Rocket
Yes.
Raccoon and one of our Ponte friends.
Mhm.
Our Radar's real name is Rahaz, and we seldom use it except when he first introduced himself to us. Because he was their media specialist, he wanted to show off what he knew. He said, "My real name is Rahaz, like rhymes with Oz, as in the Wizard of."
Mhm.
So we gave him a very hard time, and the Wizard of Rahaz was
Awesome.
born.
Mhm.
I have another from that same movie era. Not to be outdone, the gals decided that Glenda the Good Witch and Dorothy were okay too.
Awesome. Beautiful.
We started drawing the Ponte because at the time that we met them, they were still under a treaty that meant no photographs, no video. But Tilcom, the fellow that we first met, said there is absolutely nothing that prohibits an experiencer from drawing what they experience. And so, again, our wildlife. And yes,
Beautiful.
you do fly 40 light years to pet a horse. Sometimes you do. One day, their head of security, they were in Florida, and they're about ready to leave, and a kitten comes up to him and nudges his foot. And he looks down and he says, "Who are you?" He says, "I'm lost." So
Aw.
they adopted him, and he became Lost Kitty. So their head of
Aw.
security is
Aw.
Lost Kitty.
Aw.
And I have several pictures of Lost, who has befriended most of the folks at the station.
Mhm.
We have some other regular ones or silly ones. Remember the movie Avatar?
Mhm.
The only thing you saw was the big blue eye at the very beginning on the poster.
Mhm.
And then, oh, you'll probably recognize this character from
That looks like,
Caribbean. Yep,
Captain Jack.
it is Captain Jack Sparrow. Radar
Mhm.
like the hat. One of our friends said, "How about drawing them in like the Phantom in a costume?" And I said something about it, and one of them knew the Phantom movie or character from the cartoons. The other knew the other Phantom.
Interesting. So
So
they do take
Phantom
a
will
an
hang up
interest in our culture, our movies, and
correct
things like that.
both things in our culture, and they had to ask about which one. We've had them ask all kinds of silly questions. There's Charlie Chaplin from the
Yep.
backside.
Yep.
You have to find a bowler hat that's quite large to fit their heads. Anyway, if you want to see more of my fun art, Sasquatch, animals, Ponte, other dimensional nations, my YouTube channel at Sandia Wisdom has a lot of it. And
Mhm.
so you'll
Yeah, I
see
put that up.
all kinds of
Let's
things
see.
there. But they asked me to draw them so that people would get a
There
sense
we
of
are.
each person that we were talking about. And so I've
Mhm.
drawn each of the crew members we've been introduced to. And we've learned a little bit about each one, and their likes and dislikes are as varied as all of ours are. Um,
Mhm.
one gal likes silk scarves on her head because she doesn't like her head cold.
Mhm.
Me is the fashionista and likes trying on things. Drudy likes learning our cultural dances for gals,
Mhm.
especially if they have costumes to go with. And
Mhm.
so everything from the hula to Indian Hindu dance to African dance to ballroom dance to flamenco. They just enjoy learning it all. Percussion, rhythm, and music
Mhm.
are very, very huge in their world, along with literature.
Mhm.
And they, in their culture, memorize very long um, story poems. I guess I'll put it that way. It's
Mhm.
more than just poetry. We also find them collecting what's considered the best of our culture. Here in North America, the Sandia Mountain folks collect things in English, but in other continents, they collect other cultural things in various languages. But they
Mhm.
do it to save the very best of our culture. They consider themselves cultural explorers,
Mhm.
gardeners of intellect. That's the way
Mhm.
they phrase it. And I thought both of those were fascinating phrases, made me really think about why they were here and what they're learning from us that they like.
Mhm. Mhm.
If they come visit your home, they like to pick up small but artistic things. They like unique things. They like handmade things, whether that's food or craft things. It doesn't matter, or artwork. They find all of that fascinating. So I'm
Very,
sorry,
very.
babbling on at you.
No, it's wonderful. I am so grateful that you're here. And of course, I'm going to pester you to come back in the future because there's so much we could talk about. And I think it's really important for people to get over that knee jerk reaction of fear and to start getting used to intelligent beings that look a little different than us
Yes.
and start creating the kind of peaceful, loving world we all want to share and live together in. Now, we're almost out of time, but before you go, Sue, can you tell people what you have available? So, you've already talked about the Telepathy 101 primer,
Right.
and you've shown us some of your artwork and where to find that. Do you offer services to help people or in any way,
I
or
am
what do you
now.
offer? Do you want to tell
Boy,
everybody? And where can
um,
people find you, even though it's in the description?
Um, my website is suewalker.com still. I am in the process of retiring from the clairvoyant and medical intuitive work. I've had a 35 plus year career and I'm ready to just sit down and draw and have fun that way and be creative. Um,
Yeah.
and so my creativity is shifting over from doing readings for folks to doing artwork. I still will do readings if it's an emergency, but I'm spending the vast majority of the time with my spouse and my
Mhm.
garden and my artwork and having a very good time. If people see any piece of artwork that they would like to purchase, I don't care if it's the animal artwork that I do, the Sasquatch artwork that I do, or the Ponte artwork that I do, it doesn't matter. I'm um, got mostly originals at this stage of the game to sell,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I try and keep the prices very reasonable. And
Mhm.
so it's not thousands of dollars, not yet. Not yet.
Wonderful.
So if people are interested in any kind of art, just send me a message, an email. My email is very simple. It's psychicsue@gmail.com. So it's PSYCHICSU. I do not put an E on the end of Sue. So psychicsue@gmail.com. And we could put that in our links down below too, if that'd be okay.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. I'll add it for sure.
thank you for
Wow.
having me on. This went fast. Oh my
Yeah, it sure
goodness. Yeah.
did. It was so interesting. And this is exactly why I designed this podcast, because I wanted people to hear many different perspectives on the different kinds of experiences, different kind of beings. And the more we learn, the more we're going to lose that knee-jerk reaction of fear. And when we stay grounded and we keep our critical thinking skills, we cannot be manipulated. And when I talk about manipulation, I am not speaking about ET. I'm talking about human manipulation, human um, just shenanigans. Let's just put it
Yes.
that by the
That's a
empathy
good way to say it.
deficient. Hmm?
People who are acting in a wrong-minded fashion.
Yes, absolutely,
There's right-minded and
absolutely.
there's wrong-minded, and we have
Yeah, I
some
mean,
politicians who are doing the wrong-minded stuff at the moment.
yeah,
Very
I've never had a really a scary experience with ET. My experience has always been really positive. But I look out over the world of humankind and I see what we're doing to each other, and it horrifies me. Absolutely horrified.
yeah,
There are many ET
yes,
groups who don't even know about us, and they would find it so disturbing because they're peaceful, loving beings. They're not, they put all this nonsense behind them. They don't go to war anymore. They don't hurt each other anymore. And they're beautiful. And, I've also seen some recordings of human military people, what they call interviewing ETs, and it's horrible the way they treat them.
terrible.
Absolutely disrespectful and horrible.
Yes,
So, I think it's important that we start stretching people's imaginations and understanding in this direction. This is why I created the show, because I wanted people to be able to come and hear and make up their own minds, but
that's
also
right.
to reduce the fear. I think it's so,
Yeah.
so very important. I just want to say a quick shout out to hi, Shelley and Leah and Atlas 4943,
And Rodney,
Rodney Letman. We have a wonderful group today. Fearlessly Phoenixing,
oh, right,
always,
right.
and yeah, I always enjoy her too. Shelley, Michelle Morrison. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. Oh, Harry Shannon, I missed you, so I'll say your name. And everybody else who joins us, absolutely lovely community. Thank you so much. And thank you, Sue, so much for making the time. I know you've got a very busy schedule, and
Hey, if anybody's
um,
local to Albuquerque and you want to help process food or learn how to can, I'm your person. If you want fresh
mhm,
pears, I'm your person.
mhm. Yeah,
So,
that is awesome. So I guess that is about it for today. Again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sue. Take care. Hope you all have a wonderful upcoming week.
thank
And
you.
we'll see you on Wednesday. For those of you who want to come and see the Quantum Guide Show, this week is my last Quantum Guide Show of the month. Is always a conspiracy panel, and we're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. I know you're all probably sick of hearing about him, but I've got a new twist on that whole conspiracy. So you might want to join us and hear about that. So that's it for today. Thank you, everybody, again, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
All right.
Thank you for joining me for the Aliens and Angels podcast. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available on Amazon worldwide. Subscribe to my YouTube, Rumble, and X channels at Karen Holton TV. The like button and leave me a comment. And please do share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All of the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you'll also find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.